From Newsweek.com, CNN cutting Donald Trump town hall short by 20 minutes raises questions. I love this. They say the former president, 2024 primary contender, took to the stage, blah, blah, blah. In a statement to Newsweek earlier this week, the network said it was our job, despite his unique circumstances, to do what we do best, blah, blah, we get it. Dylan Byers, a senior correspondent at Puck News, tweeted on Wednesday that the town hall was scheduled as a 90-minute broadcast, though the network expected the actual event to go as long as 75 minutes. He went on to say that it was ended less than 70 minutes in. In other words, they could have gone longer if they wanted, which is usually what executives do with big ratings draws. And it pulled in 3.3 million viewers, which is massive for CNN. Yet for some reason, two interesting things. The first, 40 minutes in, we get this abrupt commercial. And I was like, oh, they did a commercial. That's weird. Normally, when they do events like this, there's no commercials. And it was weird for us. I'm like, I guess we're going to go to commentary while we wait for the commercial to pass. Show comes back for a few minutes, jumps to commercial again. Okay, that's really weird. They come back. Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all later. Bye. Off. I wonder what happened. What do you guys think happened? Do you think it was that Trump was just doing such an amazing job?
Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine that's why, but it's really shocking to me that CNN would have the self-awareness to stop focusing on Trump when they were getting good ratings from it, because the entire story of 2016 was them focusing on him nonstop and boosting his public platform, all the while claiming to hate him because they knew it would pull in more money for them. So it's kind of out of character for them to try to pull back from Trump, even when the optics are good for him.
You know what I think it is? I think CNN used to be generic corporate press. I used to have CNN on 24/7. I would turn the TV on, put it to CNN, and then I would just start working. Because when breaking news would happen, they'd be like, breaking news, a tornado was touched down. And I'd be like, oh, wow, CNN, they get it quick. And then at some point, it was just nothing but Trump. And then I was like, okay, this is doing nothing for me. There's no news here. It was just people opining, so I turned it off. When I turned it off, and a bunch of other moderates and independents and people like me turned it off, the only people left standing watching that were anti-Trump psychopaths, which CNN was courting. Years later, that's the only group of people who watches the network. So when they said, we're going to do a Donald Trump town hall, and Chris Licht, the CEO, is like, we're going to build our credibility back up with America, they looked at what was going on. They looked at the feedback, and they were like, we are getting obliterated right now. Cut it.
If you were paying attention to Twitter and stuff, the talk amongst a lot of the more vocal leftists was how the audience response was laughing and basically enjoying the Trump show. They were, laughing and getting along. It was great for them. And I think that was one of the things that really made a big difference. I think that CNN realized that essentially they were hurting their arguments and allowing Trump to embarrass them. And I think that was one of the big things for them to take them down. I think that the comments on CNN or on Twitter were making effect.
Matt Gaetz called it a mercy rule. He says, I've never seen a town hall get called like a mercy rule before. Did that really happen? Yes.
Yeah, there was a real sense of panic. You could tell that you were not supposed to allow Trump to kind of have that magic back again. He is in his element when he's destroying the media, when he's kind of just breaking that mystery about them, that kind of thin veneer of civility where they kind of pretend like they don't hate America, but it's very clear that they do. And he just enrages them in the way that no one else does when he's doing, his thing up there. And so when you saw the people laughing, when you saw him joking, when you saw him pulling attention away from the host, embarrassing him, that moment when he breaks out his own tweets that he's printed up, I mean, you knew it was done after that. Yeah. And they were obviously losing control.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of what's so remarkable about this is that this was not a Trump rally. It might have felt like one, but this is a CNN town hall, which means the kind of person going to that isn't necessarily who you would expect to be Trump's demographic of supporters. And he was crushing. He was absolutely killing it there. And I think that made them really panic too.
Would you see that clip where they ask the panel about the town hall and they're like, does it bother you that Trump won't stop talking about 2020? And the guy goes, you asked him about 2020. And they were like, well, right. But, he talks about it a lot. And he's like, maybe you could ask him about something else. And it's like, well, yeah, yes, we could. Yeah, they screwed this whole thing up. Well, I think Trump did a great job.
And what CNN has often done is they've taken clips of Trump out of context to try to make it as unflattering as possible. And I'm not saying Trump doesn't or hasn't said things that are very easy to spin in a negative way, right? The guy isn't always prudent with his choice of words.
No, but he's always hilarious.
But he's always hilarious. And they just gave that unfiltered hilariousness directly to their audience. And they have this woman on stage who's constantly interrupting, constantly trying to cut him off, and constantly trying to do the finger wagging, which becomes much more obnoxious when you're there with the person who's entertaining them, right?
Extremely off-putting, yes.
Exactly. So if you have footage of Trump killing it at a rally and everyone's having fun and it's enjoyable, and then you take footage of that and you go, this was bad, I'm wagging my finger, how horrible, that's kind of annoying, right? But if you're at the event actively trying to stop the fun from happening, those are the worst possible optics. No one's on your side. No one is on your side.
Why are you trying to throw a wet blanket on the funny man?
Exactly.
Let the funny man be funny.
We're having a good time, huh? What are you doing? We're here listening to Trump make jokes.
Exactly. And she became an unwitting performer, right? And this is sort of how Michael Malice describes trolling. He says turning someone else into an unwitting performer, which I think can be a solid definition for what trolling is. And there became something that was kind of comical about the fact that every time he was talking, she was going, no, wait, no, I have to correct that.
You're a nasty person.
You're just very nasty.
It was the teacher chasing the child as the child's running through the room, throwing stuff, and the teacher's just running after the kid, trying to get the kid to sit down. And would you put that down? And no, get over here. And put that. Don't put your finger in there. But that's exactly what she was doing. And Donald Trump's and people are dying, and he is just absolutely making a fool of this woman. Well, it was wonderful.
You could really see that dynamic when he's like, "Oh," or she kept saying, "You can't keep calling it a rigged election. You can't keep saying that." I'm like,
I can do what I want.
Exactly. He just runs right over. She has no control over the situation. This is supposed to be an inquisition. They're supposed to bring Trump up there and hold him accountable, and make the entire audience just see his evil ways, and he's just making them look hilarious. And that's the worst thing that can happen when you're trying to be in a position of authority, persecuting somebody.
Well, so do you guys think Trump's back? Trump is back.
That's a
2016
complicated question. That's a
a
complicated
very
question.
complicated
I mean,
question.
how is he going to pull with the American people overall? I don't know. I will say this was good for him. This was very good for him.
Best day since I heard someone's on the way in. I heard someone talking about it. The best day since he went to Ohio.
What was Ohio?
When he went to the Ohio at the train derailing.
Oh, right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. This brought back a lot of that energy. In the beginning, it was a little slow. It was a little. I was like, "Oh, come on, man!" And then in the end, he's standing up and he's like, "No, boy, you're a nasty woman. Nasty. What is it? Nasty person. Nasty
Something
person.
like that. He's like, "You're very nasty." He says, "Like, oh boy, are you nasty?" Something along those lines.
Because what we're getting out of this town hall is a guy kind of giving us legitimate answers. Look, do you want Ukraine to win the war? I want people to stop dying. Oh, now even Newsweek has it. Look at this.
That's a very good diplomatic answer to that, right?
Because do you want to go ahead and be like, yeah, we have to smash Russia because we're only like closer to nuclear war than we've been since the 60s.
This is what they wrote. Speaking at the town hall, Trump would not say whether he wanted Ukraine to win the war against Russia, a battle the Biden admin has supported with aid, and said the U.S. might as well default on its debt despite warning the potential for devastating economic impact if it did. I'm all for that. Like, I'm all for letting the default happen. I'm like, we can't just live this way. I think Trump's strategy on Ukraine, I know what his strategy is. It's sit down with Putin and Zelensky and say, what ends this war? And then having them both be like X, Y, and Z. And he goes, done. That's it. And that means both parties are going to be unhappy. But the problem is the zealots in this country, you have to march in lockstep with the cult. And this is why I say like the woke stuff has nothing to do with leftist ideology in its root, because there's no reason why Ukraine's war support, that support for war in Ukraine has nothing to do with Marxism or communism or any ideologies or anything like that. It's just you have to be marching in lockstep. That's what Caitlin Collins was hoping to get. That's what Cena was hoping to get. Do you want Ukraine to win the war? And Trump says what most Americans probably accepted and wanted to hear. We want people to stop dying. Yep. Just stop the war. Just make it stop. There we go. You can't have that.
Nope.
Gotta shut that down.
No, as if he's supposed to come out and be some kind of war hawk. Of course, that's exactly what they want. Like you said, they want him to go out there and basically be as bombastic as he usually is, but with a nuclear-armed power instead. And I'm not saying that Trump being bombastic has always been a bad thing with respect to foreign policy. There's a good argument to be made that his brashness is part of why Putin didn't invade Ukraine while Trump was in office and waited until there was a ice cream loving child sniffing man with dementia in office to make that move. But she's clearly trying to coax Trump into saying something that would be bad for his public image and also the United States standing on the world stage. It's good that he's handling this as diplomatically as he is.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.